Marlin or Winchester? Which would you choose? I've got the Winchester 94 and I've got the Marlin 336. Both 30-30, both lever action, both 20-inch barrels. These are a couple of vintage guns. If you're in the market for a vintage lever action 30-30, which one would you choose and why? Here's my two 30-30 carbines side by side. We have the Marlin below and the Winchester on top. And you see they're about the same length. You know, they both do the same thing. They're shooting that 30-30 round. But they're a little bit different. Up first is the Winchester 94. This one is probably my sentimental favorite. This particular gun, it's the Ranger. It's was the lower end gun of the Winchester line. It had a very generic wood. I don't even know what kind of hardwood this is. It's been stained. It's very, very, very plain. It's the Ranger. This was the low one. It's not checkered. It doesn't have a pistol grip. It's just the 20-inch barreled carbine. This was the one, believe it or not, I bought this at Kmart years and years ago. I put a Williams receiver sight on it to kind of help with a little bit of accuracy. But this was the bottom of the line Winchester. They're a great little gun. This one will hold 7 rounds in a tubular magazine, plus one in the chamber, so I could load this to 8 rounds. When you'll see the Winchesters, the older ones, they ejected out the top. This is a later one. It's called an angle ejector. It's the Ranger AE for angle eject. It actually kicked the shells out to the side, so this one is actually tapped for, I put a Williams sight, but it's actually tapped for scope rings. And with the angle eject, you could put a scope on this. So the earlier Winchesters were not scopable, or you mounted something on the side. It was kind of a half-ass thing. But the later ones, like this one, this was the crossbolt. This was one of the ugly ones. But they were scopable, if you want to put a scope on a lever action. Like I said, it held 7 rounds and held one in the chamber. The thing about a Winchester, like I said, we had that open top, but it's the angle eject. When you lever this, there's a clunk to it. All right, that first part, you're going to push the hammer back, and then it's kind of a little stiff. It's going to open. It's going to open these. See, like looks like your guts all fell out. The guts of the rifle fall out. That's the first one, and then the second push is bringing that hammer back. You're ejecting around, or you load, and then when you'd load the new round in, drop the hammer, fire the gun. But as you lever a Winchester, there's a definite clunk to it. It's not the smoothest thing in the world. They're very light, they're very compact, they're kind of slim. It's that Old West look and feel. It's a great little carbine. It's going to do exactly what you want a 30-30 to do. The second one we have, this is a Marlin 336. Again, it's a 20-inch barreled carbine. It's a lever action 30-30. And what you're going to see with this Marlin, it's a little bit heavier. It has this solid frame to it. It's tapped for the scope rings, or like we had on that Winchester, I could put a receiver sight on it. You're going to find that, well, this one does have a pistol grip stock. This does have the white plastic, and the black caps. It does kind of dress it up a little bit. The wood is much, much nicer. This is an older gun. This one's actually from the 60s. Where that Winchester we looked at previously is from the 90s. So this one's a little bit older, but probably you're going to find both these on the used market. This has kind of a fatter forend. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit chunkier. Has that pistol grip. It's got a little bit different feel to it. The big difference what you're going to see is, like we said, it has that solid frame on the receiver. When you lever a Marlin, it's so much smoother. It just opens and closes. Where we had that big clunk as we push the hammer back in that Winchester. The Marlin, it's like one continuous move. You see that bolt coming back. It's got that big round bolt. It has a much more solid feel to it. It's like opening up a bank vault door. It's like I said, this is a little bit older. This one was actually made in New Haven, Connecticut also, just like me. But it's a little bit older Marlin. It is probably what you're going to find. It does have the micro groove barrel, so it's not that old. Doesn't have a safety on it, so it's one of those mid production. It's nothing like the ones that are being made by Ruger now, but this is what you're gonna find on the used market. This one was a little bit dirty when I got it, and I cleaned it up, and it's a very, you know, functional, capable gun. You're gonna ask me, hey John, which one would I pick? Which one's better? If I had the choice between one or two, would you get the Marlin or would you get the Winchester? Let's see. I made my pick. It's the Marlin. Don't get me wrong, I love that Winchester. I really do. That's when I think of a cowboy gun, I think of the Winchester. I don't really necessarily think of the Marlin. But this is it's a much more solid gun. It has a much smoother feel to it. It has just, like I said, has a nicer wood. It has that solid frame. It has that smoother lever. It just has a nicer feel to it. I chose the Marlin. It's the differences are minor. I mean, that I can, you know, there are better Winchesters, there are older Winchesters that maybe are a little bit better. But if I was to choose between the two of these, I would go with the Marlin. It just feels a little bit more heavy duty, maybe a little bit more quality. This one does shoot really, really well. As good or better than the Winchester shoots. I do think it's a little bit heavier. It's not as thin, it's not as compact. It just has a nicer feel, just feels more solid. If I'm in the market for a used Winchester, if I'm in the market for a used lever action 30-30, I'm gonna have to heavily lean toward the Marlin over the Winchester. That's my pick. Which one of you have picked? Let me know in the comments. Maybe we'll argue it out, maybe we'll agree. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.